So we began looking at the functions of management, and I want to believe professors remember that the functions of management constitute the activities that you perform, right? The routines, the daily routines or activities you go through to be able to ensure that a business, is run smoothly to achieving its goals. So you remember the whole issue about if you were appointed the manager of MTN, what would you do? And then we saw that there are four basic functions of management. Four basic functions of management: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. And then we picked the first one, which is planning. So by way of recap, professors, what did we say about planning, or what is planning? What is planning? What is planning, please? Because of time, let's be fast about our responses. Yes, George.
The setting of objectives to be completed or accomplished during a cycle or period.
Okay, so setting of objectives. But we saw that that is not the only bit. After setting the objectives, you also add something. So if you can add that something for us. Anyway, Joris has done well with that first part of planning, that is setting the objectives, right? Setting the objectives. So who else would continue for us? Professors, these are things we have discussed, though. So I expect that when I ask, at least you give me quick answers. Okay, at this point I may have to. Yes, Prof. Nicole.
After setting the objectives, um you identify the actions or the processes to achieve those objectives or goals.
Okay, so very true. So you set the goals and then you determine the strategies to achieve the goals, right? That's what we said about planning. We also looked at the process of planning, right? The process of planning. Because of time, I think I'll spare us with stating. So I'll quickly run through. The first is to determine the goal. Second, analyze the environment. Third, identify alternatives. Fourth, evaluate alternatives. Fifth, decide and select a course of action. Develop the plan, implement the plan, and evaluate. I think we went through, we did a detailed discussion of these things. And then I gave you the assignment to look at the benefits of planning and the challenges of planning, which some of you have refused to submit. But anyway, I think it will all show up in the scores. So if you don't do those assignments and exercises, I have decided not to be reporting to parent yet because I know that it will reflect in your final score. Anyways. So thanks to all those who have done it, those who haven't done it too. God bless you so much. So today we want to discuss the last bit of planning, which is the tools or instrument for planning. If you want to plan, there are certain tools or instruments you can use in planning. So that's what we want to discuss. And then if we have time, we'll look at the types of plan based on the various levels of management. So planning tools or instruments used in planning. Okay. So what are tools or instruments used in planning? What are they? When we say tools or instruments used in planning, what comes to mind? At least we are familiar with the word tool. So tools used in planning, what does it mean? Yes, Prof. Abweko.
These are the essential things needed for planning.
The essential things needed for planning. The essential things needed for planning. Okay, well noted. Any other? My professors talk. Talk. Prof. Yusuf. Oh.
Setting some news. I haven't like.
Okay.
This is my first lesson.
Okay. Well noted. No problems.
Sure.
Okay, well noted. That was a good feedback anyway. Prof. Jorish, let's hear you. Tools or instruments used in planning?
They are the components used.
Components used. Components. Okay. So I think Aweko mentioned essential things. Joris is giving us components. So when we say tools or instrument, in the carpentry shop, a tool will be an equipment or a device that helps, in performing a task, right? So a tool or an instrument in planning here will not necessarily be a device or as in a carpentry shop, as I mentioned, but these are techniques, methods, procedures, resources. So listen to the keywords I'm mentioning. Resources, techniques, methods, okay, that assist management in planning, or better still, that assist management in setting goals and devising strategies to achieve these goals. Now, there are several of these tools. Now, let's put that down. So these tools refer to techniques, methods, resources, used, so techniques, methods, resources used in the planning process. Okay, now let's look at some of these planning tools and then we'll look at each of them in details, right? So number one is forecasting. Forecasting. So let's write all of them, then later we'll pick each of them and look at them in details. The second one is budgeting. Budgeting. I'm sure some of us are familiar, or all of us are familiar with these words. We have scheduling. Scheduling. We have decision trees. Some of them might be new to you. No worries, we'll look at them. We have the Gantt chart. Gantt chart. Okay, there are others, but we'll focus on these 5 for now. These 5. Okay. So we have forecasting, budgeting, scheduling, decision trees, and then Gantt chart. Now, you would appreciate that some of these tools represent methods. So because if you are forecasting, if you are budgeting, if you are scheduling, it's more or less like a method or a technique. And something like decision trees, Gantt charts, okay, they sound more of, a resource more or less like a chart is more or less like a pictorial view of a process, right? So the Gantt chart comes in a form of a picture. And the decision tree also follows suit, where you draw certain things, and we'll get to that. Okay. So let's pick the first one, forecasting. Forecasting. For the purposes of those who just joined, we are looking at tools or instruments used in planning. And we are saying these are techniques, methods, or resources that are used in the planning process. Now, if I want to give very specific relevant examples, in these modern times of technology, we have a lot of softwares that can be used in planning, right? So a software is a resource, right? So when we say there are methods, techniques, or resources, then you can appreciate why we see it. So these five, let's pick the first one, forecasting. Professor says to forecast. Forecast. What does it mean? Forecasts. Please, so don't allow only few people to talk now. Okay, Prof. Janet, thank you. Prof. Janet, forecasting. What does it
mean? I would say that it is the process of predicting future business trends.
Predicting future business trends. Okay, awesome. Any more? In fact, I want more hands. So please, you push you talk, because the more my students talk, the more I get money, the more I get paid. So I beg you. Because I said that somebody said and said today they will not pay. Yes, I have Christabel, Araba, Amande, Araba, Yabua. Please let me hear from you, Fifinate, Sefam, Valerie. Yes, Fidel.
Say please, it aims at predicting future values.
Predicting future values. Okay. So predicting. And I think the first speaker also mentioned the word predicting future trends. Okay. Yes, any other, apart from predicting, can we use any other word to define forecasting? Yes, any other version? Oh, my professors, I have somebody is typing in the chat. Say, I'm having a problem with my mic. Okay, Manuel, well noted. Okay, Agbeko, give us your version.
I think proposing.
Proposing. Sweet, now the English is talking. Okay. So to forecast means to predict, like the earlier speaker said, or to make estimates. To make estimates. You are making an estimate into the future, right? So forecasting is a tool for planning, because if we want to set objectives, if we want to set goals, you see that they are more futuristic. So they are more of predictive in nature. So for example, if a business wants to sell 100,000 worth of goods to make sales of, say, 100,000 Ghana cedis, right? That is more predictive because we haven't sold the goods yet. We will sell in the near future, right? So forecasting is more about, making predictions or making estimations into the future. You don't just sit down and forecast. You'd have to apply certain techniques, right? Sometimes you have to look at current market cost, and then you can estimate what is going to be the picture in the near future. So forecasting is basically about using mathematical rules or other forms of analysis, okay, of past data. Very, very important. Past data with the aim of predicting future values. So even you as a student, sometimes you do forecasting, because you check first semester you had A1 in accounting. Second semester, A1. Form 2 first semester, A1. Form 2 second semester, B2. Based on these past grades, you can confidently estimate that in your WASSCE, you can score an A1 or B2. So forecasting is done referencing past records or past events. Okay, and I hope we appreciate that point. So let's put something down. So forecasting involves the application of mathematical rules and analysis techniques to predict future values based on past events, based on past records or events. So that's forecasting. So if you are using this technique to plan, so for example, we sell shoes. We are operating a shoe trading business, right? So we buy and sell shoes. If we want to use forecasting as a means of planning, remember planning involves setting a goal and then devising strategies to achieve it. So if we want to forecast, then we can say that, oh, last 2 years, we were able to sell shoes worth 10,000 Ghana cedis. Last year, we did 15,000. For more indications, we can sell 25,000 or 100,000 in the year 2026, right? So we are predicting the future, because even in 2026, we are just in February, but we are telling, or we are estimating, we are predicting that we'll make sales of 25,000 Ghana cedis at the end of the year 2026. So we are predicting, right? We are estimating. That is forecasting. Okay, please, any question? Any question? Professors, ask question. Does that mean that you appreciate every point and that we are good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll now look at the next one, that is budgeting. Budgeting. This one there, I know that all of us, in one way or the other, we've done it before. Budgeting. Professors, what is budgeting? If we have not heard budgeting, we have heard the word budget. So what does it mean? Budgeting. Is it not interesting that we use words every day, but we seem not to know how to explain them when we are asked? Yes, budgeting. Who is doing that for me? Okay, Janet is up again. So Janet, let's hear you.
Yes, sir. I would say it is the process of creating a financial plan to allocate resources.
Okay, please can you take it again for the purposes of professors who might?
Okay. It is the process of creating a financial plan to allocate resources.
Creating a financial plan to allocate resources. To allocate resources. What type of resources, especially?
Like money.
Like money. Okay, money. Thank you very much for that. Any other version? Budgeting. Christabel.
For me, budgeting is the process of creating a plan to spend your money.
Creating a plan to spend your money. Okay. So the money is, I saw one hand up, but let me see. There's something in the chat. Okay. Some people don't want to talk. Okay, let me see. David Yam. David, budget. What is it?
Please, a budget is like, I'll say a budget is a synonym for capital.
It's a synonym for capital. Okay. I think we will digest that. It's a synonym for capital. So a budget is more or less like a capital. That is from Prof. David Yam. Okay. Prof. Araba.
Please, I'll say budgeting is it's creating a plan to manage your income over like a certain period of time.
Okay, managing your income over a certain period of time. Interesting thoughts there. Thank you very much. Jesslyn, Joel, Joshua Boateng, let me hear from you people. Okay, so I want to comment on David's point. So David says it's synonymous to capital. How many of us agree or disagree to that point? Okay, so budget is not capital, right? But we can budget on our capital because capital refers to the, the financial resources, okay, or the resources that we have. So we can budget our resources. And as other professors have mentioned, a budget is more or less like, allocating your resources. What resources? Financial. And some of them specifically stated that money. So if you are doing a budget, what it simply means is that you look at your financial resource or your money, and then you try to allocate to projects or activities you are undertaking as a business. So I believe that some of you do budgeting a lot. When you are giving your chop money, right? You sit down, you take a pen and paper, and then you're like, okay, I will spend 50 cedis on stationery, 20 cedis on transportation. What are you doing? You are just allocating or you are sharing, okay, your resource, your money to specific expenses. Okay, so you buy exercise book, you pay for transport, you pay for photocopy, etc. So budgeting is more of allocating resources. You allocate resource, and I believe that is okay. But a lot goes into budgeting because to be able to make budgets efficiently, you'd have to consider a lot of factors, right? The current market conditions, inflation, etc. And a budget sometimes, may deviate from the actuals. So for example, you get 20 cedis, you budget that you are going to spend it on food. You go to the food vendor and it's 21 cedis. So at that point, your allocation is lesser than the actual. And when that happens, we say that you have a deficit, a budget deficit. Right? Unfortunately, it's very rare for businesses to get budget surplus. And I think we can tell for the case of Ghana, always our budget, which is presented in the Parliament House, is always having a deficit. Okay, always what we estimated or what we allocated to that expenditure seems to be lower than what actually was expended. So that is budgeting, allocating financial resources. Let's put that key point down. So budgeting, allocating financial resources to specific projects, activities, or expense. Okay. I believe we are good to go. The next two for planning, besides forecasting, budgeting, is scheduling. And I think we also appreciate the word schedule. So scheduling or scheduling, as some people pronounce schedule. So what is scheduling? Scheduling. You see a lot of people say, oh, I'm behind schedule. What does it mean? Scheduling, to schedule. We are doing business management, but it seems English is coming into the picture most of the time. Yes, scheduling. Yes. Let me get some people to talk. Yes, Prof. Joshua Boateng. Prof. Joshua, let's say Josh.
Sir, I would say scheduling it's a list of tasks to be done by an individual at a certain period of time.
A list of tasks to be done by an individual over a period of time. Thank you, Prof. Joshua. My professors are good though. That's why when you are not talking, I fall sick. When you don't talk, then I'm feeling feverish and sometimes I even get COVID-74. So please, I beg you talk. Prof. Nico, let's say.
To schedule is to allocate time to specific business activities or plans.
Allocate time. Thank you. Prof. Abeku, let me pick you and then I'll see if I can get Isobel or
So what I wanted to say has been said already.
oh, it cannot be said already. Even twins differ in, please, Prof. Abeku, you say what has been said already.
So it's like schedule is like something that you have planned to do within a day, week, or like a month, or like a whole year, or a whole financial year.
Oh, okay. Well noted. Jane wants to add her viewpoint. Jane, let's hear you.
It is a process of giving lists of intended events.
List of intended events. Okay. My professor's table for the table. I like the prof you are giving. Sefam Valerie Ewenam. Please talk. Nana Kwesi Owusu Kenina. Anyway, I think a lot of professors have given us the key thing I was looking out for, which majority of you provided, was time, emphasis on time. So if you are doing scheduling, it means that you are planning your time, or you are, like somebody said, you are distributing or allocating your time to specific activities. Emphasis is on time. So you can say is the systematic allocation of time to specific tasks or activities. That is scheduling. So for example, in a day, let's say from morning 6:30 to evening 6:30, that is time. You look at the quantum of time you have, 6:30 to 6:30, that's 12 hours. If you calculate into minutes, that will be 12 times 60, right? If my mathematics is correct, that should be 7,200 hours within that period. Now it's okay, I'll play football 1 hour or 60 minutes. So what are you doing? You have assigned a specific time out of the available time resource you have to playing football. I'll do movies 1 hour. That's another 60 minutes. I will learn for 5 hours. So people are saying, hey, say why 5 hours learning a day? But that is what scheduling. So you allocate or you plan your time. Okay, let's put something down. So scheduling sorry, let me take a sip of water. My throat is dry. You can also do say water is life, right? Like they say money is life. But sometimes you have money. Okay. Okay, so let's write. So scheduling is the systematic planning of time, of available time to tasks and activities with the aim of achieving organizational goals. So planning available time or allocating time to specific tasks or activities, that is schedule. Okay. Now let's go to the next two, which is the decision tree. The decision tree. Who has come across this word or this term? Decision tree. I think we are familiar with decision, but the tree attached makes it a bit new to us. Decision tree. Decision tree. Yes, who is going to try? Yes, I will.
So please, I think that the decision tree is like something that looks like a tree that like you have so many suggestions to do, but like you have to pick one or the best one out of it.
Okay, that's a good attempt. Any other, Fidel?
So please, I think that the decision tree it helps in analyzing difficult decisions.
It helps in analyzing difficult
decisions.
Okay. You see, when you speak like that, okay, then it opens up the conversation for more, viewpoint and thought. So let's talk. Decision tree. At least other professors have said something, and based on that, you can also think, okay, then it could be this or it could be that. Prof. Christabel, you want to add something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I think it's like a flow chart that looks like a tree.
Okay, it is a flow chart that looks like a tree. Interesting. Okay. I'm listening. I want more. Yes. That's Jane. Jane, let's hear you.
This I will say it is the process by evaluating different pathways and calculating their values expected.
Okay. Okay. Looking at different pathways and calculating their, okay. Wow. Okay. So I want to pick on the main theme some of you mentioned, that it is a chart. It comes in the form of a chart, or the pictorial view of a decision tree, gives you that tree structure. And I think we have all seen a tree before. If I can draw a tree here on the screen, I think we would all appreciate. So let me draw a tree. You see some of the things we're doing in kindergarten, they are coming here. So you see, this is a tree, right? With the branches and the leaves, right? And then the stem, and then, yeah. Okay. Oh, this is not a tree. What I've drawn is not a tree. But let me do what we were doing in KGS. We'll draw the leaves, like the branches and the leaves. We'll put some small things there as leaves. Then let me do the roots. Don't laugh at Mr. Amwes tree. This is what we all do when we're in KG. Okay, so we are saying that this method, or this tool, right? Please pay attention. They normally come in a pictorial view or in a graphical presentation. Okay, where I think one professor made a point that when you want to disintegrate a complex decision, there are some decisions you would have to go through several steps. Okay, and as you go, you try to connect the steps together. Okay, so let me make a scenario for us to appreciate. So let's say, for example, we want to, I don't know why I like using fufu, but permit me to use fufu again here. We want to have fufu, right, and soup. So that is the goal. But to get to this fufu and soup, one, we will need to separate the fufu, right? So fufu, and then the soup. They are two different things, but they will come together as the final product or goal. So the fufu and the soup. Now, if we get to the fufu alone, we will know that, okay, you have to go and get what? Cassava, which are the main, permit me to say, the raw materials, but we know that to be the foodstuffs. So cassava and what do you call it? Plantain. Okay, cassava and plantain. We will need those stuffs. Okay, and then we would also need the other devices like the pestle and the mortar. So the pestle, let me draw a small pestle here, and then the mortar. Okay. Now, when we even come to the cassava, there are types of cassava for pounding fufu. There are some type of cassava you can only use for the normal apesi. We call them apesi cassava. And we have those that we use for what? Fufu. We even have those that are hard, those that are, if you are boiling and you add more water, it will. So you would realize that the main decision is here. But to get to the main decision, you have to go through sub-what decisions. Now, even the soup, you have to decide, are you going for light soup or groundnut soup or palm nut soup? So you see that if I extend the branches, okay, you see that this thing will be taking the shape of what? A tree, as you see here, right? It will be taking the shape of what? A tree. That is how it got its name, the decision what? Tree. So it is a graphical depiction of the procedures involved in making what? Decisions. So at each point, it will illustrate different potential options and what? Outcomes. Using the branches. Okay, so you use the branches to give out the different options or outcomes. So like this fufu scenario I'm giving, okay, one branch will be that maybe we are going for light soup. Another branch will be that no, we are going for what? Palm nut soup, or we are going for groundnut soup. I don't know if you are getting the point you know, I'm making. If you are confused, please let me know. Are we good, professors?
Yes.
Okay. So let's put
Sir,
something. Yes. I think somebody has a
counter the definition again.
Okay. So yes, I'll write it down. I want us to understand it. Then we can you know, put down something.
Okay, sir.
So no other question? Okay. So if we all appreciate what this decision tree is, now let's put something down. Let me erase this thing. So you see, there are some decisions, they are very complex. And so as you tend to look at them, you'd have to break them down into different what? Branches. Okay. So when you get to one branch, even under that branch, you have to break into sub branches. That is how the decision tree works. So for example, you want to be an accountant. So that is the goal. Okay. But to get to that profession, you'd have to go through certain things. So it's either you go through schooling, what do you call it? Primary school, JHS, right? SHS, and even under SHS, you have to get sub branches. Are you going to learn accounting, business management, and costing, or you do accounting, business management, and what? Elective maths, right? Even the university, are you going to Legon or UCC? So you see that at each point, you have sub decisions to take, and that forms the branches which connects to the main node or root. Okay. So I think we are now okay. So let's write something down for the purpose of those who want to put something down out. I think you have the notes already, right, from your learner manual. But these are key points you can write down. So it is a planning tool. It's a planning tool used to break down complex tasks. It is a planning tool used to break down complex tasks. It gives a pictorial or graphical view of the procedures to arrive at a decision. So it's most of the time useful where you have different options, right? Different options. I think last time I mentioned that if you want to be a professional accountant in this country, right after your even JHS, right? Or let me bring it up to SHS. You can decide to go to the Institute of Chartered Accountants, right? ICAG, and start schooling there to write the professional exams. Or some people also go through the university, the normal university, go and pursue a degree in accounting after they now come back to get exemptions and write the papers. So you see, there are several alternatives, several courses of action, but they would all reach the same destination or goal, right? So then it becomes necessary for you to apply this decision tree where you have a complex scenario and you have to break down into lots or different courses of action. Okay. Then we pick the final one, which is the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart. The Gantt chart. Who might have come across this Gantt charts? Yes. Any idea? This is new, so I have to explain it myself. Oh, but some of you read, read ahead of us, right? Or my professors don't like reading ahead. Okay. Now this Gantt chart, okay, it has its name from the person who designed it, and his name is Henry Gantt. Henry Gantt. So the name Gantt is coming from the name of that man. I think he was an American mechanical engineer. So he was using these charts in in planning his activities. Okay. Now, what is unique about this chart is that we use horizontal bars to represent tasks and what time. Please pay attention to it, otherwise you miss the point. Okay, we use horizontal bars to represent tasks and time. Now I'll demonstrate that on the screen for you to see. So it is also another graphical, chart. Okay. So let me draw it here so that you can appreciate what I'm saying. So let's say this is our graph. Okay, and every graph has the x-axis and what y-axis, right? So normally we put the tasks or the activities we are going to perform on the y-axis. So the tasks will be here. And then the times will be on the x-axis, right? So the time depends on what you are looking at. You can use your seconds or minutes or even days or weeks, depending on what you are planning, or month or even years, right? So we are saying that we use horizontal bars to represent tasks and time. So for example, let me put in some few tasks here. What can we even do as students? Or let me use some of the tasks for a business. So let's use production. Okay, production. Then marketing, or let me use advertising, right? Production, adverts or advertising, and then finally sales. So these are some of the tasks a business would do or pursue, right? So what you are going to do is that you use a horizontal bar to represent these tasks and time. So for example, if production, let me allocate the times. So let's say we have 1 month, okay, 1 month, so 1 month to 2 months to 3 months to 4, then say to 5. Okay. So the issue is, in your first 1 month, what will you be doing? Right? So if in your first month, let's say you'll be doing production, right? You use a horizontal bar, right, to draw to that point. Okay? After production, what will you be doing? Maybe we'll be doing advertising from the first month, okay, to maybe the third month. So we also represent that with what? A horizontal bar. Then sales. You can only sell after you have produced, right? So maybe the sales would also start from the first month, probably through to the fifth month. What are we doing? We are producing, or we are preparing a Gantt chart. What is unique about it is that it uses horizontal bars to represent tax and what? Time. And so I think my professor should be comfortable if I ask them to draw a Gantt chart, right? Using some of the tasks they do in the home with an allocated time. So maybe plan or prepare a Gantt chart for the things you do at home from, let's say, 6:30 a.m. to where? Maybe 12:30 p.m. Right? And you should be able to do that. All you have to do is to put your time at the x-axis or the horizontal line, and then there are tasks on the vertical line or y-axis, right? And then depending on what you are doing, you draw your diagrams. But the uniqueness is that they should, the task that you are going to do the first task should lead to the second task in that order. So this example I did here, that was just for you to appreciate the horizontal bars. But in real sense, production should come top, right, before advertising and what? Sales. So this is how it was going to flow or look like. So let me clean this bars and then do the So it's done in a way that at least the first task you do in your first timing, right, will lead to the second task. So let me draw my graph again. So let's say this is production, adverts. So A for advert, and then what? Sales. Because if you look at the occurrence of this event or task, production comes first before what? Adverts and what? Sales. After you have produced, you advertise, and then you can sell. So maybe production will start from the 0 to the first month, right? So that's my horizontal bar. And then look at the linkage. It will lead to the next task, which is advertising, which probably would take me, let's say I'll take another 1 month, okay? And then which will lead me to the sales, okay? And maybe the sales, I'll do it for the rest of the month, from the second month to where? The fifth month. Okay, so there are links between, but sometimes they can overlap. Example, even though I'm producing, immediately I start producing, I can start my adverts. So you see the adverts may overlap, because let's say I start producing on the 1st of January, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I can start my my advertisement maybe on the 15th. So you see that the advertisement will also start somewhere within where? The first month. So you can have that overlapping. Or even your sales, because whilst you're advertising, maybe sales will also start. So there can be overlapping. A typical example is when, let's say you allocate that you will take your bath from 6:30 to 6:45. Okay. But within that period, you might be brushing your teeth. Okay. So whilst you have allocated a time for bathing, within that time, you might be brushing your teeth. Some people will go into the bathroom, start brushing their teeth, but they finish brushing their teeth after they have finished bathing. I don't know if you have done that before. But I have done that before, where the toothbrush was in my mouth. I did some small, then I stopped. Pour the water on me, my phone, finish. Whilst I was wiping myself with my towel, I was finishing up with the brushing. So at that point, you see that the brushing and the bathing would overlap because the brushing was within the bathing period and after the bathing period. So that is how a simple Gantt chart or Gantt chart looks like. Please, any question? I've talked plenty. If you don't ask me a question, it means you understand everything.
Sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, please. So is overlapping is a good thing in the business.
Yes, you see, like the example I gave, sometimes you are producing, you don't necessarily have to wait for production to finish before you start advertising, right? So you see that the advertising task or activity in a way would be overlapping with the word production. As you are producing your advertising, that's the point I was trying to make. And it is, yes, it is very good. You don't have to wait to finish production before you advertise. Right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I believe we are okay with this Gantt chart. Let's put something down as the main core point or note. So maybe you can also come up with a planning tool and then you put your name on it, like somebody has done, Henry Gantt, bringing up the Gantt chart. So you can also do same. So it's a graph. So the Gantt chart is a graph. That uses horizontal bars to represent tasks and their timelines. So it's a graph that uses horizontal bars to represent tasks and what their timelines. And as we have seen, they are useful in what? Planning. It is a tool you can use in planning because, for example, if you are planning, let's say your time from 6:30 to 12:30 using the Gantt chart, then you'd have to use horizontal bars to represent what activity you are doing within what time frame. So if you are brushing your teeth, it's from 6:30 to where, let's say 6:45. Then after brushing your teeth, maybe you take your bath. Maybe that will continue from 6:45 to 7 o'clock. Or maybe after that, you take your breakfast, right? But you see, like I said, sometimes somebody will be taking breakfast and also bathing. I don't know if it has happened to you. Somebody can be in the bathroom, his tea and chibum with bread is somewhere along or in the bathroom. Somebody says it can never happen. It happens. Have you not seen people bathing and enjoying at the same time? Nicole. Those who have proper, well-furnished jacuzzi bathroom, they are in their jacuzzi and then the tea and pan is on some nice, session in the bathroom. Into or jacuzzi, when he or she is in the jacuzzi applying all the foams and all, and then take small sips. So then you see that these two activities, are happening at the same time. Whilst I'm bathing, I'm taking my breakfast, and it's possible. Those of us who watch movies a lot, we see people in jacuzzi even enjoying wine and all that. So people do, right? Somebody was showing some emoji, say, hey, say, how is this possible? It's because the type of bathroom where we bath, Me, my bathroom, for example, you cannot take tea and pan on there. If you are not careful, the soap will enter your tea and pan. Okay. But that's the essence of the Gantt charts. Okay, so professors, we have exhausted discussions on some of these planning tools or instruments. Please, if you have any question, you can ask. Any questions, professors? Okay, now I want us to finish our discussions on planning by looking at the types of plans. The types of plans. The types of plans. Oh, some people are dropping off because of network. Types of plans. Now, professors, pay attention. Plans can be categorized into several forms, depending on what you are looking at. Okay, so we are going to look at the types of plans based on several factors. One of the factors with which we can categorize plans will be based on the level of management. Based on the level of management. And I think we did levels of management in our presentation, so we appreciate that we have the top level, which is the strategic level or corporate level. We have the middle level and then the lower level. So depending on the level where you are, there are some types of planning you do or some types of plan you do. That is what we want to look at. Another one is based on the frequency of use. How frequent do you use the plan? There are some plans you use them every day. For example, if you plan how your morning is going to be from 6:30 to 8:30, you see it's normally routine, right? So I brush my teeth, I take my bath, I take my breakfast, put on my clothing. This thing is going to be frequent because every day you brush your teeth, you take your bath. Okay. So based on the frequency of use, we can also categorize or group plans. Okay. Please, if you are confused at any point, I beg you. We can also group plans, okay, based on the time frame or the time span. How long does that plan take? Is it a 1-year plan or 5-year plan or 100 years plan? So based on the time frame, we can also classify plans. Okay. Now I think I'll focus more on the level, and then probably I'll give the remaining 2 as reading assignments. Your curriculum does not specify, but it's important that you. Now, based on the levels of management, we have 3 types of plans. The first one is strategic plan. Strategic. Or corporate plan. Strategic or corporate plan. The second one is tactical plan. Tactical plan. And the last one is operational plan. And I think because we have knowledge in the levels of management, professors can tell me what strategic plan, tactical plan, and operational plan means or mean. Any attempt? Yes, Abeko.
So please, strategic plan is a type of plan that's made by the top level management.
Okay, so that plan is made by the top level management. Exactly. And the tactical is made by what? The middle level. Operational is made by the lower level. Okay. So you can use that to simply differentiate, but you can go ahead to explore that the strategic plan or corporate plan, is long-term in nature, and it gives the overall or broad guidelines as to how to achieve the set goals or objectives, right? The tactical plan are more or less like short-term compared to the strategic, right? Now they help to break down the complex, tasks and activities set by the top level management, break them down to the operational level. Okay. And the operational level or the operational plan will look at executing these tasks to achieve the organizational goal. So they are more specific to the task or the job to be done. Okay. So that is about the level of management. I think watch out for multiple choice questions. Sometimes you see them there. Okay. Now, based on frequency of use, we have two main types of plans. One is single-use plan. Okay, so single use. Per the name, single use. So that type of plan, you use it once, single. And then we have the other one, you continuously use it. So we call them standing plans. Standing plans. So single-use plans and standing plans. We have examples of these single-use plans and examples of these standing plans. One of the single-use plan is a project or a budget, right? You plan a project or you do a budget. And when you do a budget, for example, for your schooling, it's just once. You're not going to use it again. Or better still, the budget you use for your Form 1 first semester, did you use it again in second semester? Do you use the same one in Form 2? No, it's not possible. So budget is a typical single-use plan. Then projects. You are doing a building project at Cape Coast. What plan or whatever plan you use in that project can never be the same for even another building project you do in Cape Coast, because the dynamics will be different. So single-use plans are mostly used once, and or they are used for a specific purpose, one specific purpose or situation, and they are not repeated. That's why it's single use. They are not repeated. For example, your marriage budget or your marriage plan, you cannot use it again because you only marry once, unless maybe you divorce and you want to marry again. But even at that, the planning you did for your first marriage will be different. So you are not going to repeat that same plan. That's why it's single use. So example, we have programs, projects, budgets. Okay. So take note of that. Then for the standing plans, they are repetitive in nature because we can use them over and over and over. And one of them is policies, procedures, rules. Rules are planned, right? If you set rules, you are planning because you are determining what you want to achieve and you have set strategies as to how to achieve them. So you want your student to be disciplined. So you set rules, right? Do not break bounds. Report to class early. So there are rules which are helping you achieve a goal. So rules are planned, right? Okay. So that's the point about the frequency of use, single use and standing. I think I've given you some little information there, right? You can add on. Then based on the time span, I think I've stated a little on that. So it could be short term, okay, intermediate or long term. There are some plans, they are just for maybe a month or a year. Some are for between 1 to 2 years. Some are for 10 years, 10 years plan, right? So you have the short range or short term, intermediate, and then the long term or long range. Okay, so these are a few things I wanted to bring into your attention. Your curriculum does not, so in your manual you may not see it, but it's an added knowledge that you need. Okay, any questions, professors? If not, let me do a recap of a few things we have said so far. So, wanted to look at the concluding chapters of planning, and we said we need to look at the tools or instruments that we can use in planning. I gave us 5 of them: forecasting, budgeting, scheduling, decision trees, the Gantt chart. I think we were able to digest each of them very well. And then we looked at the types of plans, which can be based on the level of management. So if you're looking at the level of management, then we have 3 types of plan: strategic, tactical, and what? Operational. If you are looking at the frequency of use, how often you use the plan, then we have single use and what? Standing plan. If you are looking at the time frame, I indicated that we have the short term, okay, the short term, intermediate, and then the long term, right? So long-term plans. Okay. Any question at this point? Any question? Any question, profs? Okay, so it means that you understood all that we did. Oh, okay. So if I give some small assignment for you to prepare a Gantt chart, you can be able to do that. So just for the purposes of giving some professors the benefit of that, let me do another Gantt chart, right? So I say you put the tasks or the activities on the y-axis or the vertical, and then the x-axis, the horizontal, you put the time. So let's say that we want to perform certain tasks, right? I want to use one where what task would make a lot of sense. So let's use schooling, right? So let's say I want to finish JHS, right? Then go to SHS. So the activities are completing JHS, completing SHS, completing university, as well as completing, because we are business students, let me put the professional accountant, right? So your professional accountancy program. So professional accountant, prof. Let me use prof for that. So let's set the time. Maybe we have 1 year, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5. So let's take the first activity, which is finishing JHS. So maybe we can finish JHS in the next 3 years, right? Then SHS, what is going to happen? After JHS, we'll go through to SHS and finish in the next 3 years again, right? So let me continue my years. I have 3, we have 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, after 3 years in SHS, we go to the university and we have to do 4 years. So that will start from year to the 8th year. Now, the professional course, you can appreciate that the professional course can even start right after SHS, as I have told you. So maybe you start from somewhere here, okay, to this point. You can get your professional course. So then you see that the professional course may not necessarily start after your university, but it can come within, okay, overlapping here. So that's how the Gantt chart, sometimes you can have some tasks overlapping, or as in 2 tasks occurring at the same time. Okay, good. Any question? Any question, profs? And even the GHS, there are some students, whilst they are in Form 2, okay, their second year in their Form 2, they finish writing their, they go and register with another school, write their BEC. So they even finish the GHS in the second year and start their, what do you call it? Their SHS in where. So the overlapping is possible. Okay. So I think if there are no questions, professors, I'll wrap up here and call it a day. So with a calling it a day prompt, if you have any question, fine. Within the next minutes, you can bring it up. Since my professors are quiet anyway, so professors, thank you very much, but don't go off yet. Stay in class. I have some important announcement for you. So thank you very much for making up class. At least today you would appreciate the tools of planning and then the various types of plan, depending on what you are looking at, whether the levels of management, the frequency of use, or the time frame. Thank you very much.